Welcome to the Stratford IP Strategy Academy. In this session, we will provide you with some insight and tools into answer one of the most fundamental yet loaded questions relating to intellectual property. How much does a patent cost? Let's get started. So, how much does a patent cost? The short answer is, it depends. While this may not seem useful when you're trying to build a budget for your IP portfolio, it's helpful to think of it like you would a car. There are many different makes and models of cars, all with different features and add-ons, which all affect the price. So when you are out on a new car lot, you probably wouldn't ask, how much does a car cost? You would want to know how much this car costs. The one with the features you want that also fits your needs and your budget too. Like cars, patents are not one size fits all, and there are many considerations that will affect how much you can expect to spend on protecting your IP. To help guide your expectations and assist you in making informed decisions, we will review some of the most common variables and apply costs based on different situations to give you a better understanding of how you might expect to answer the question, how much does this patent cost? Alright, so we're back at the dealer and you've picked out your car, and you're ready to ask again, how much does this car cost? While we have a good idea of what it will cost, it's still a loaded question, as there are plenty of considerations that go into a vehicle besides the base purchase price. Sure, there's the raw vehicle cost, but don't forget about upgrades, plus the dealer certainly has fees, as does the DMV, there are taxes, and so on before the car is even on the road. Once off the lot, there are ongoing costs to consider like gas, insurance, license fees, and maintenance such as oil changes. It's important to factor upfront and lifetime costs into your budget considerations for both cars and patents. With this in mind, how do you determine what's going to cost today, next month, and next year? Here are some common scenarios to help you get started. For ease and simplicity, the cost examples and considerations outlined in this session will refer to provisional and utility applications filed in the USA, as U.S. patents protect the biggest market and are typically the epicenter for any IP filing strategy. While the costing may be slightly different, you can apply these considerations to other jurisdictions and patent types to help determine your budget strategy. Provisional applications are an optional first step in securing patent rights, one that can preserve your priority date without incurring expensive upfront costs or prosecution fees. Although they are rarely recommended and include some significant risks, they do have benefits in specific situations. Using the car analogy, think of a provisional like a 1-year lease to own, with the option to buy at the end of the lease. The provisional application keeps your priority date while you decide if you want to pursue a patent. If you lease to own but decide not to own, you'll end up with nothing. Similarly, if you don't convert your provisional to a conventional application, you will never get an issued patent. A provisional application has far less stringent formatting requirements, so it is common to see inventors draft and file their own applications to save upfront costs. If a provisional application is a lease to own, then the utility application would be the outright purchase. A utility patent application has requirements, such as the specifications and claims, that make it far more difficult for inventors to draft and/or file them on their own. Claims require quite a bit of technical skill to be written properly. As such, inventors often need to contract the assistance of patent practitioners. A patent practitioner could be a freelancing patent agent or attorney, an IP agency or consultancy, or a niche multidiscipline law firm. The rates you pay for drafting and filing account for the majority of the discrepancy in potential patent costs, and will largely depend on which IP practitioner you choose. So, it is important you choose the right one. A freelancer should be looked at with the same scrutiny as you would be looking at a car from a private seller. Make sure that they can be trusted, and be wary of deals that look too good to be true, because they just might be. Freelance rates represent the mid to low range shown here, most often between $6,000 and $8,000. IP agencies are like the myriad of unaffiliated car lots around town. Some are great, and some aren't. What these will have is a variety of options, with people to walk you through your needs and budget and find the right fit for you. Rates for agencies typically fall in the mid to high range shown, approximately $10,000 to $12,000. A big law firm is established, and has the backing of their reputation, history, and brand. These firms come with extensive top-of-field experience, with accomplishments such as managing patents or overseeing mergers and acquisitions with Fortune 500 companies. With that prestige comes big prices, $12,000 and up. so be sure you need all that expensive work for your patent draft. Ferraris are not usually needed if you're getting groceries. After the drafting comes the filing fee, which covers all the paperwork and time that goes into filing and registering your application at the patent office. It's pretty standard and falls within a pretty tight price range from practitioner to practitioner. These fees usually start at around $400 and can go as high as $1,000. In addition to the filing fee of your practitioner, you will also incur the fees of the patent office itself, which are similar to license and registration fees. The fees at the patent office are fixed, based on your application type and entity size. There are 3 incremental tiers, micro, small, and large. As you can see, the fees for a provisional are quite small, while the rates for a utility are somewhat higher. Once a patent is filed, it enters the prosecution phase, in which an examiner and your chosen practitioner will argue the novelty and merits of your application through office actions issued by the examiner. While there are no costs at the patent office to file the basic responses and arguments, the costs by your practitioner to draft and file the response are within the range shown. You should budget for 2 to 3 circuits of patent office rejections and arguments. Once you have successfully persuaded the examiner with your arguments, the patent office will send you a notice of allowance that indicates your application is ready to be granted into a patent. All you have to do now is pay the issue fee, and congratulations, you now own a patent. But wait, there's still one more thing: maintenance fees. These fees are required in order to keep the patent active and in good standing with the patent office. In the US, these fees are usually due at 3.5 years, 7.5 years, and 11.5 years after the patent issues, with fees increasing at each stage. And, if you decide to file a continuation from the issued patent, the process begins again in parallel. Now that we've reviewed the factors that influence the lifetime cost of a patent, we are in a much better position to understand and solve the age-old question, what does a patent cost? While you can expect some variance in the fees charged by a law firm or patent agency, the fees charged by the patent office remain consistent. If you want a utility patent at the cheapest rate possible, you're looking for around $8,000 for drafting, if you forgo the optional provisional filing, $400 to file, and another $430 in patent office fees. You can expect at least one office action and response, which averages out at around $3,000. Then, an issue fee. By the time the official USPTO patent is delivered at your doorstep, the cost over 1 to 4 years could be as low as $13,000. However, some choices can quickly inflate your costs, leading to a very expensive patent. If you choose to file a provisional and have a top firm draft it, they may charge upwards of $10,000, plus another $1,400 for filing and patent office fees. When it's time to convert your application from a provisional to utility, should you require extensive edits, then that could cost another $5,000, plus refiling fees from both the firm and the patent office, another $2,000. On average, there should be 3 office actions and responses prior to the issuance fee, meaning that costs could quickly exceed $40,000 just for drafting and prosecution. Averaging it out, you should budget between $15,000 and $20,000 over 3 years to get a granted US patent in hand, with at least half the costs up front. After issuance, maintenance fees for the 20-year lifespan of the patent will cost you $12,600, less if you're a small or micro entity. With that, it's a good time to remind you of 2 very important items to consider while costing out your patent application. It is important, especially if you're on a tight budget, to find a practitioner who gives you fixed rates for their drafting and filing work. Most attorneys and agents bill hourly, which can make it difficult to assess up front how long drafting and arguments may take. This can result in frustrating overcharges if the patent takes longer than expected, or the office action is particularly complex. With fixed rates, you know your costs, regardless of the time it takes to draft. Secondly, whether you're on fixed rates or not, it is crucial to review the invoices sent to you by your practitioner to ensure you understand and agree with all charges. Much like a dealership, it is not uncommon for invoices to have hidden or unusual fees. Make sure you agree to all fees with your practitioner before any work has started, including any rates for incidental or other common fees. Talk with your practitioner to ensure that the expensive partner billable hours are optimized, and if there is anything that could be done by a paralegal to save costs. As you can see, there is no one way to answer the question, how much does a patent cost? When determining a budget for your IP portfolio, it's important to remember, there are a number of factors that influence the cost of a patent. Drafting and prosecution will make up the bulk of your budget, so it's important to research your options for IP practitioners who can help guide you, manage your costs, and understand your needs. If the practitioner works on an hourly basis, make sure to get a quote for the maximum that they will charge so that there are no surprises in cost.